everyone, and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. And welcome to the developer chat here at Privateer Press for April 10th, 2019. I'm Will Hungerford, lead developer at Privateer Press. With me is Jeff Olson, playtest coordinator.
Hey, that's me.
And missing, normally between us, is Big Papa Oz. Big Papa Oz is on his way to Kingdom Con as we speak. Today is their travel day. So if you're going to Kingdom Con and you want to talk about Mompoc, maybe get some games of Mompoc, or just hang out with a super sweet dude, Oz is going to be there. I believe Jordan's going to be there.
Is Jordan there?
Is Jordan there?
I feel like I hung out with Jordan yesterday. He was just on vacation all week.
I think Jordan is there.
Oh, okay.
No, Jordan's there because we don't have Get Your Paint On tomorrow. Well, we should talk about the stream schedule real fast.
Yeah.
So normally we stream twice a week, and that's the developer hangout on Wednesdays, Get Your Paint On Thursdays.
And then occasionally on Fridays.
And then, yeah, sometimes on Fridays we have special shows. Like this Friday, we've got the staff showdown where you and I are going to be playing. You're playing your Grimkin. I am playing...
Have you figured out what you're going to battle?
I am playing a game of War Machine with an army. And then the staff showdown is basically a live battle report where you can hang out and cheer for whoever you want to win or boo whoever you want to lose.
I'm going to need a lot of chat help in that game because I haven't had a chance to play with my army because I got Adepticoned and then I got sicked.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And then also one Friday a month, we also do Primecast Live where we get people throughout the company to come on and talk about what they got going on. And the next one of those is April 19th. But Get Your Paint On tomorrow, normally with Jordan, where Jordan will be painting and talking about hobby stuff. Jordan is on his way to Kingdom Con, as we just deduced. So it's going to be another lore chat with, I believe, Doug Seacat and Josh Colon coming on. And I don't know what their topic is going to be yet, but every time Doug's on here, it's always a treat. So if you want to hear some more lore and fiction talk, definitely tune in to Twitch or Facebook tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific, and hang out with Doug Seacat. As I mentioned, we are live right now. So we've got Twitch chat up. We've got Facebook chat up. Thank you to everyone who is hanging out. We will be answering questions as we can.
Mm-hmm. No.
We're just going to ignore you the whole time. No, we love you guys. Today's topic is a little bit interesting. So before I get into that, let me talk about Mini Crate, and then we'll get into the topic. Mini Crate, the Ancestral Guardian Angel, is still available till April 19th. So you have 9 days left if you want to pick up that super sweet model. And also there's a new Legend of the Five Rings Mini Crate. Kaito Kusori is now available from the Phoenix Clan until May 5th. And the super sweet Bride of Arcadius VIP model, if you do a 6-month sub. My voice just died. 6-month sub, you get the VIP model in your next shipment. That's good till August 19th. One other reminder, speaking of all the super sweet models and hanging out with people at shows, Lock and Load. June 21st through 23rd. Get your tickets now.
Boom.
Okay, let's get into today's topic. Now, disclaimer, this can change. We are likely going to start the Oblivion CID next Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's the plan. Plans change. Oz is out. Things happen. We're hoping to start it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about some really... We're not going to go deep into the rules. We want to talk about some of the things I personally find very exciting that's coming in Oblivion.
Some top-down aspects of...
The Oblivion's got the campaign system. It's got the Infernals. It's got a lot more models than we're going to be talking about today that are not Infernals and not these models. But it's got new theme forces. We're going to talk about 3 new theme forces today. And we're going to talk about the Archons. And we're actually going to tell you what all 6 Archons are that are going to be coming out in Oblivion and kind of what you can expect out of them. And then, after we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about Riot Quest. We got some cool Riot Quest news to share. And then show you your first look at actual gameplay of Riot Quest. So you can see what it looks like on the board and what it looks like fully painted and being played. So that's pretty exciting.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So, and Dustin Von Berg on Twitch. Oz is out. Yes, Oz and Jordan are both on their way to Kingdom Con right now. So we have...
Isn't Jack going to Kingdom Con too?
Jack is going to Kingdom Con as well. So welcome to the lawless dev chat. We have no boss to keep us in check. We only have Tony. And Tony will lay down the law if he has to.
Now I'm upset that I didn't plan any sort of tumbleweed sound effects for right now. Just
Yeah, we should have the green screen
out
as
in the
tumbleweed
open
goes
desert.
by.
Without Oz, you better have a censor button ready because we're going to be dropping some bombs in here. So anyway, do you want to do themes or Archons first?
Let's talk about the themes real quick.
Okay. So
we're not going to tell you the specifics of every model in the theme. We're going to give you guys kind of a brief overview.
Yeah. So there's 3 new themes you're going to see in Oblivion. Everyone got their first peek at one for a day in the Infernal CID. which was
Hearts of
Darkness.
Darkness.
You're going to see these 3 themes show up in the Oblivion CID again, hopefully starting next Wednesday. And we want to talk about what they are. They're kind of weird, and what you can expect out of them. So the first is Hearts of Darkness.
Hearts of Darkness, which was controversial, and we've taken some time to sit back down and redevelop it a little bit and come up with a way to keep it a little bit more structured.
Well, the first thing that happened is previously it was... So Hearts of Darkness is the corrupt army. This is an army that might belong to Signar, Khador, the Crucible Guard, or mercenaries that has been corrupted by the Infernals and allowed you to take normal faction models alongside Infernal models. One of the Theme Force benefits is all models become Infernals. This is the second Infernal Theme Force. So if you were an Infernal player and you go to a tournament, you've got Dark Legacy, and then you've got Hearts of Darkness. The issue with the first one was that you could take any caster you wanted to out of those factions, out of like Signar or Khador, and have them run alongside. That's been toned way down. So it is now specific casters. Think Kingmaker for mercenaries, how it's like Magnus casters and then this list of casters. We've really honed in on the exact casters we want to be in this, so that play testing the interactions you get is way more
Manageable.
way more manageable.
Yeah. And again, this is like a kind of almost like a what if situation is sort of the idea. It's not necessarily that we're saying that X caster is an infernalist, but this is a person whose outlook or the direction their life has taken them, or that at some point in their past or their future, they could have been potentially susceptible to corruption or going to a rally and you know, getting flyers and brochures about being infernals.
Sure. Yeah. I would like to sign up. You are limited to the amount of faction units and solos you can take, and those units and solos you can take are tied to the faction of the caster you choose for the theme force. So that the idea is that you're going to choose this caster, a couple solos and units, and then you have to fill out the rest of the army with either warjacks or infernals, and you have access to all the infernal units and solos in the army as well. One of the interesting things, and what I think is going to be very difficult to test, and this is from me personally as though I do all the organized play, is that in Steamroller, somebody could be like, what faction are you playing? I'm playing Infernals. What are your theme forces? I'm doing Hearts of Darkness twice. One of them is being run as a Signar army, effectively, and one is a Khador army. It's very Iron Gauntlet Season 1, but it's way more toned down, and we very carefully cultivated like exactly what models you could expect to see in terms of the casters to make sure that you weren't... Spoiler, Haley 2 and Asphyxious 2 are not in it, right? Like, you're not going to see the old IG1 pairings. So it's very specifically chosen, and that one's going to take a lot of testing, and we're going to have to see what people are able to come up with.
But I think having the much more curated list of casters will make that task actually doable, as opposed to not doable, which was the previous kind of one was.
JP Great One asks, can these traitor casters summon horrors? No, they bring warjacks, though you can bring... infernal models, and you can bring Regna, and she can summon horrors as she normally could. We will, if there have been any changes to the end of the infernal rules, like major ones that you need to know to go into testing this, we will let you know during the CID as well. But a lot of it will be the PDFs you saw towards the...
Yeah, we'll probably generate a PDF of, like, probably the last week of the infernals. We have made a couple changes, and some of them we will probably present maybe like a point up or down kind of thing.
Yeah. Swamp Mist says, will there be any Merc casters in this version? There is one Signar caster, one named Protectorate caster, which you can take any of the iterations of them.
Oh, I was confused what you're saying, but yes.
One Khador, one named Crix one that you can take any iteration of them, one Crucible Guard, and one Merc. And that's the casters you have access to in this.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about 2 themes that no one has any idea are coming. And these are ones that you didn't see in that CID. First off, let's go over Warriors of the Old Faith. So Warriors of the Old Faith is both a Protectorate and a Khador theme force. It's good for either theme. This is, if you've ever wanted to run a Horse Lord all Cav list, I'll tell you the casters you can take in it. Khador Cav casters, Protectorate Cav casters. You know what units you can take in it? Cav. You know what solos you can take in it? Cav. There's a few extras in there. There's a couple extras in there. But this is like, do you want to run Horse Army? Do you want to play Horse Machine? Warriors of the Old Faith does it.
Yep.
Now here's the cool thing.
And anyone who's even remotely familiar with our fiction should understand, like, conceptually where this theme force is coming from.
Yes, this is...
Which is, if you're not super familiar, it's basically that there's a lot of Menoth worshippers in Khador.
The Old Faith is a big deal in,
Vlad is a significant element of this. like church, religion, empire kind of thing together.
Vlad 3 is the only Khador caster you can bring in it because it's Khador Cav casters and Protector Cav casters. You can bring Khador and Protectorate Jax freely between the two, and all models in the army become Protectorate models. So if you want Vlad 3 with, I don't know, like a Judicator, some Crusaders, I don't know, whatever else you want to throw on there, you can absolutely do that.
And once again, you mentioned this earlier, but I wanted to clarify for everyone, this is both a Khador or Protectorate theme force.
Yep. If you want to have Resnick 2 with Juggernauts, go nuts. So there'll obviously be more benefits. You get stuff that specifically makes Cav better. All Cav models will gain an ability in this theme force, and you'll be seeing that whenever the CID starts. I am super excited for this one because I think the paint, like people that are going to play Warriors of the Old Faith, are going to have really awesome conversions and make really cool like paint schemes. But more importantly, I think this one's going to be one of the easier ones to balance because it's a very limited amount of casters.
And a very limited number of units, too.
A very limited amount of units, and we know, one of the big problems is what happens when Vlad can suddenly take Protectorate models and they count as faction, right? But we know if the pool of those models is lower and we know it's just Vlad 3, it's much easier to figure out. It's not Vlad 1 with Adjudicator or Vlad 2 with Vengers. It's Vlad 3, and we can very specifically balance what does that do.
Yeah.
So, the cool thing is Hearts of Darkness is the idea that the Infernals have shown up and these armies have been corrupted and are working with the Infernals. Whereas the Old Faith is the idea that once bitter enemies, some aspects of Khador and Protectorate, have come together in their faith of Minoth, in the Old Faith, to fight against the Infernals, which leads us to our third theme force, which again is an unlikely alliance, Flame in the Darkness, which is the Morrowind Thamorite theme force.
Yeah.
It's Morrowind models and Thamorite models, and by the way, we're adding the Morrowind tag to a lot more models, including casters, that didn't previously have it before. This allows all Morrowind and Thamorite models to work together. They all count as mercenary models, so this is going to be a mercenary theme force, but it will be able to take outside merc options. For example, I'll give you one spoiler. Striker is picking up the Morrowind theme.
The Morrowind
tag.
Yeah.
So Striker models can be played in Flame of the Darkness, running Alexia 1 and Precursor Knights, and all count as mercenary models. This also involves a Constance Blaze update that I think is going to make a lot of people happy.
Yeah, she will be a legacy model going to the CID that is going to get some updated rules.
Yep. So expect to see these three theme forces alongside. Man, I can't talk for hell today. Alongside a slew of new models. You've seen the Infernal chunk of Oblivion. We're going to talk about the Six Archons, and then there's a whole other chunk of models that are neither Archons nor Infernals that are coming in Oblivion that'll be prominently featured in a lot of these theme forces. So again, Hearts of Darkness if you want to be evil, Warriors of the Old Faith if you want to be awesome. And Flame of the Darkness.
Warriors of the Old Faith is by far the one I'm most excited about, just because I think it looks the coolest.
And Flame of the Darkness if you want to be basically fighting the good fight against the Infernals.
I definitely want to get some Vengers and Ulans and some Daughters. And
just start your list with like double Venger, double Ulan. Where do we go from there?
Yeah, but it'd also be cool just to put all the other Kevin too.
Sure. You only got so many points. So let's talk about one of the other major model releases coming in Oblivion. You'll be seeing concept art for these for the first time next week, whenever the CID starts. And that's the Six Archons.
Yep.
So let's start with the first one. Everyone's seen this Archon already. It was on the cover of the Oblivion art that we showed with Constance Blaze fighting Omidamos. And you saw that angel in the air with the Morrowind symbol on its shield and the big spear. That is the Morrowind Archon. Do you want to talk a little bit about how it plays?
Yeah, so the Morrowind Archon is a little bit more, again, we're not going to go into specifics. We're just kind of doing like a very top-down overview. But the Morrowind one is a lot more like defensive-y and support-y.
Very supportive, yeah.
It's definitely going to be sort of one of those models that kind of hangs out in your midline and waits for its opportunity to strike, and until then is just kind of making life a little bit more challenging for your opponent to deal with.
The Morrowind Archon definitely is the protector, and it's very Morrowind. Morrow is a god that is very much about protecting the faithful and keeping them safe and tending to those that are weaker. And so this Archon definitely feels, and the thing about the Archons, if you don't know what the Archons are, they are divine manifestations of their gods. Well, the first four are. The next two, we'll get into that in a little bit. But they're divine manifestations. They're quite literally angels, demons, whatever way you want to look at them. They're just like holy entities. And so they should represent what their god's sort of dogma is. And the Morrowind Archon very much does that.
Yeah, the Morrowind Archon is very defensive. It's pretty burly in terms of like its defensive stats. It's pretty good at taking a hit. basically, is kind of the idea.
Most of these Archons are going to be in like the 8 to 9 point range. They're just big, nasty
solos,
and they work for a variety of factions depending on which one it is.
Correct. So as an example, it's not like the Morrowind Archon only works for the Morrowind theme or Signar. It'll have access to multiple factions.
Tony being a baller there, we actually see the Morrowind Archon in midair, driving that spear down into the back of Amadamos' head. Spoiler.
One thing I didn't know there for a long time is how dope Valen Hawk is over there on the left.
Yeah, he's looking really good.
Yeah, he's really sweet.
So let's talk about the second Archon.
The Midnight Archon. Well, that's actually what I have on my list.
Me too.
Okay, sweet.
So the Midnight Archon is basically a giant armored flaming angel.
Yeah.
Wings of fire.
This is like the melee offensive going to go and hit you with a couple weapons and do horrible fiery things to you.
There is nothing supporty or protectory or like beneficial to your other troops about this is Minoth's wrath incarnate. This thing comes down, flies the enemy, and you can imagine everything is going to be set ablaze. Everything that get set ablaze is going to get further punished for being on fire by this thing. This is just a missile.
Yeah.
And not a like glass cannon style missile. Like it doesn't show up and die. Like this thing can take a hit. Takes several hits actually. And when the Midnight Archon gets in the middle of your army, it's a problem. Like you got to figure out how to get that thing killed or away from you as fast as you possibly can. Anything else you want to add on that one?
No, you hit it. You hit it all right, nail it right on the head.
Which one do you want to do next?
Do you have the order of the database? Okay, I do too. Okay.
Well, good planning ahead. We got this.
We're good. We're excellent brand ambassadors.
So the next one is the Thamorite Archon.
Yes, I think that's probably what I'm most excited about because I just like Thamar stuff in general.
Yeah, this one. So you'll see the concept art, but to describe it, this is basically. Imagine a ranged assassin with like a holy bow, like a hooded dark figure with a gigantic longbow with wings flying around, just sort of like taking people out.
You know the imagery I always get as someone who just kind of mostly is focused on the rules and hasn't delved deep into like our concept arts and stuff, is it gives me that vibe of like the classic Greek archer hero trope.
Yes. It definitely has that sort of
like
look to it.
Armored bow, magical arrows kind of thing. That's kind of always the vision I've had in my head, right?
And where the Midnight Archon is just pure melee, get in your face and destroy you. This is like the ranged DPS.
Yeah, but it also has some cool support stuff too.
It does have some cool support, like unlike the Midnight Archon, which really doesn't do support. Most of the rest of the Archons do support to some degree. The Thamor one's on the lower end, not nearly as much as like the Morrowind one, but like the ranged attack damage on this thing is going to make a lot of other solos out there a little sad because I mean this is the physical embodiment of a god.
Yeah.
It's very, very strong.
And then does some other cool supporting, like we said, some supporting elements. It's got some aspects of interacting with some Thamorite models and some other things in your army.
Mr. Malorian says, so the Thamorite angel is Cupid?
Yes.
I don't think anyone is falling in love when they get hit with these arrows. I think they're just falling over dead. Sorry. And Unplayable Trash Panda, which is a fantastic name, by the way, says, is there an Archon of the Worm? Get to that in a second. Let's talk about the next divine, the next actual god-based one.
That one?
Yeah.
Sure.
So the fourth Archon is the Dunian Archon. And the Dunian Archon does not look anything like the other ones. Imagine more of like a old
Earth Mother kind of thing?
like Earth Mothers. Yeah. Like if you look at the Dunian knot and then made it like bigger and more like celestial, more divine, it definitely has that traditional old Earth Mother folklore to it. Man, the Dunian Archon is just pure support and some of the best support you're ever going to see in the game. It is like absurd the amount of healing and beneficial just like buffs that you can throw out with the Dunian one. If you're looking something that is just simply going to force multiply the rest of your army, the Dunian Archon definitely does that.
And this is an example of like an Archon, whereas the other ones are pretty traditionally more like the War Machine side of the game. The Dunian one is kind of where you start seeing a little bit more the Horde side of the game.
Yeah.
Definitely like Trolls. Circle, I think, was also on there. That's a good example of where they'll kind of mix and match across multiple factions. So
a couple of questions have popped up. So somebody asked about the Dragon Pup asked about the point range. Most of them are going to be about 8 or 9 points, but that's going into CID. A lot of questions like Nociris and stuff like that. We're going to get to that. We got 2 more to mention. So people have been asking what factions. So the Morrow, Midnight, and Thamorite Archons are all mercenary solos that work for a variety of factions, and in some places are partisans.
Yeah, so like the Midnight one is a partisan
Protectorate.
Yeah.
The Dunian and the next two we're going to talk about
Are minions.
Are minions who work for a variety of factions, sometimes including War Machine factions, and are also possibly partisans. So these models are going to work for a variety of forces. So if you play Convergence, you're going to have access to an Archon. If you play Scorn, you're going to have access to an Archon.
Yeah, if you play Cyrus. Did you just say Cyrus?
Yeah, I played it. Yeah. So there is a variety of Archons available to you, but not every faction is going to be able to take multiples. Like there are some factions that will only have one Archon available to them. Some factions will have different ones. And then somebody asked if you will be able to get free Archons in theme forces. We've definitely updated where appropriate, and we will only be giving you free Archons where we specifically want you to have free Archons.
Correct.
So again, to see people asking, is there a Legion Archon? There are no, the factions of the Archons are mercenaries or minions.
Yeah.
Then they work for a variety of factions and in some cases are partisans. So we've talked about the Dunian one, which is the first more horde-specific one. And we've talked about the 4 god ones, because we've done Morrow, Menite, Thamar, and Dunia, which are all gods in the setting. The next 2 are a little bit weird, and lore-wise, people aren't even necessarily sure. They're divine manifestations of something, and people have different ideas. And in fact, one thing that's kind of cool I was talking to Doug about today is the idea that some of these Archons might even have different looks to different people. So,
like their perception is based on either your beliefs or how it chooses to interpret itself to you?
Or Doug will go into that in his lore chat more, because he is the expert and he knows more about it. But there may be different ways of perceiving, or they may actually have different forms. But that's something that Doug will talk about on the lore chat tomorrow. So if you want to hear more about that kind of stuff, come hang out with Doug. He is the master of the world of the fiction. But excuse me. Enough delaying. The next one is the Void Archon. So the Void Archon looks like a giant whirlpool of darkness that comes up to a very metal construct-looking angel with like metal wings. Like
I definitely got a Void Spirit vibe.
take Convergence and take a Void Spirit. And then slam them together.
And then they would just be like...
They'd be raving.
That's how you rave, man. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. So the Void Archon is a very strange one. And again, nobody's even 100% sure which, what this has been manifested out of. The Void Archon, its role on the battlefield is pure disruption.
Yeah.
It is so hard to keep this thing in one place. We made mention of Void Spirits, which will give you a hint of what it might have. It is going to just sort of be wherever the hell it wants to be on the battlefield, causing havoc, and it's very hard for your opponent to pin it down and stop it, because especially when it gets in the back line near the support, it's just going to clear out swaths of like choir and stuff like that.
And I know a lot of people have been asking, so I'm just going to go ahead and spoil it, but like Void Archon works for Crix, if I recall correctly, and Brett. So I know like the Rhett and Crick people have been like, what about us?
And it works for more factions.
Yes, but I want to let you know that this is a good example of one that works for some of those factions that a lot of people have been asking for in
No
chat.
matter what faction you play, except Infernals, you will have access to Archons.
Yes,
The Archons have
every
shown up,
faction will have access to at least one Archon except for Infernals.
and obviously the Archons have shown up as a response to the Infernals. They are divine manifestations of various beings come to stop the Infernals from screwing up everything. So the Infernals don't get it. And the last of the Archons, so that was the Void Archon, is the Primal Archon.
Yep.
The only one I know of, I don't think the Dunian one has wings. The Primal Archon looks like the mountain has come alive.
Yeah.
It is this giant, like, it's hard to describe till you see the concept art, because we've got wolds for Circle, right, which are like rock people, but they have a very unique look. This is more like something animated itself. There's no bindings, there's no ropes, there's no runes. This thing just like came to life. It reminds me of like old Jim Henson like Labyrinth style stuff. Like, this thing is just a straight beater with some really strong table positioning abilities.
Yep.
I'll give you an example of one. We didn't say any rules, but we'll give you one on this one. It has a 12-inch bubble that enemies can't be placed within. So summoning horrors, TKing your own guys, putting a model into play where you have to place it. If it's within 12 inches of this Archon, and you can take 2 of them, they can't be placed there.
Yeah.
So this is nature's anchor, is the best way to describe it.
Yep.
And when it gets to you, it just beats it is the bruiser of the lot.
Yeah. And these are all huge bases, right?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said huge bases. I meant to say large bases. These are all large bases, right?
Not all of them. 5
think-
of the 6 are
yeah.
large bases. If I'm not mistaken, the Dunian, the Earth Mother, is on a medium base.
Yeah.
And when you see her, she definitely is like that, the wise old giving, like fertility goddess, harvest goddess sort of look. couple people have said the Lord of the Feast, they want him to be the Primal Archon. I'm sorry, no. No, he's not. Kruger 2 is crying. I mean, anybody with TK is probably crying about that. And Sarah keeps saying my name in chat. Yes, Sarah, how can I help you? I just keep seeing my name scrolling. Sarah needs the Void Archon.
Oh, okay.
Is what's up. We will get it to you as soon as we possibly can. Chase Kerr asks, are they character models? Nope. Most of them are FA2. So you can have multiple angels in your army. In fact, the factions that have access to multiple Archons can have lots of angels in their army. But again, these are going to be like 7 to 9 point solos. So, but if you want to run, Flight of the Angels, got it. Lord of the Feast counter coming. Yep. Primal Archons are really good at stopping Lord of the Feast from ravening wherever he wants to be. Is there any concept art for the last few Infernals? More of that will be coming. That's Jucto on Twitch asking.
In fact, we can even sort of vaguely talk about that because we have our Infernal Friday videos. They're going to be every other Friday, and we will probably be doing things across the series of showing things like concept, for example, and other cool videos. Our next one is the 12th?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Next one is this Friday.
Jacob Collins asks about these Archons. How does that work with Merc slots? They're Merc solos.
Yeah.
So if you want, unless they're a partisan or if they work in your theme force specifically, they could take up one of your Merc slots. There's been a couple of speculation about the Void and the Primal one specifically because they don't belong to a god. They're not Meta Archon, and that's what I think is really cool. Is that the idea of where do they come from? I've seen a lot of people saying the Void Archon, could it be Mordekar 2? Well, you can have more than one. It's not a character, so it can't be Mordekar 2.
I mean, technically, right, it is Mordekar 2. Sorry, play on words.
People have asked if the Primal Archon is an aspect of the Devourer worm. It could be, right? Maybe it is, because that is another godlike entity. Is the Void Archon an aspect of Torok, for example? I'm not saying it is, but I like the idea that we have these 4, they clearly belong to a deity, and then 2 that everyone's kind of like, wait a second, what are you again? Not that anybody's talking.
And I think also what's cool is it gives you the opportunity to sort of build that story within your army however you like. If you're playing your Crix and you have your Void Archon in there and you want to paint it up and Google it all up to make it look like it's part of Torok coming out of your army or whatever, then that's sweet.
Yep. Now
do that stuff.
A2D says, will these Archons be added to Merc themes other than regulars? So in addition to the new themes you saw, you are also going to see some revisions to other themes coming with some of these new models that are being introduced. So we probably, I don't know that we'll be CIDing that, but don't worry, in most cases you'll be able to take one Archon as your Merc slot, but in some cases Archons will be a little bit more freely available to you. More information on that coming soon.
Legion has access to the Primal Archon, by the way, is what I know a lot of people have been asking.
Yeah, I don't think they get the Void one.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I know there's a lot of specific questions, everybody, but the rules are coming next week.
Yep.
The CID is going to start next week. You'll get to see all 6 of these models, and then nearly a dozen, or is it just under a dozen other models that are not Infernals and not Archons that no one has seen yet. I think it's under a dozen. I don't think that count. And then the 3 new theme forces.
I have no idea, to be honest, how many models it is. I have to sit here and count it.
The Oblivion CID is going to be very, very big, and there's way too much to cover. So you'll see all that coming.
Oh, well, I mean, we will have the Hermit of Hingehold, which everyone knows about, coming in the Oblivion box. He'll be in there.
There's the Hermit of Hingehold. There's the 6 Archons. There's a couple new solos, new units, a couple new characters.
Yeah, so you're probably right. Probably in that flavor of 12-ish models if you factor in Archons and stuff.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff. So everybody, come check us out next week. The CID should be going live on Wednesday for the dev chat.
That is the plan.
And it will be a long dev chat if it is live, because we're going to go through every model, talk about everything, and answer some of these more specific nitty-gritty questions that we're getting in chat right now when we have everything up in front of everybody. But we just kind of want to let you guys know what was coming in terms of these 3 cool theme forces and the Archons. Because to me, this book, in addition to having a lot of new rules and new models, is like a big thematic event. Infernals, these cool cross-faction themes, and then we're finally seeing the Archons arrive.
Yep.
This is just a huge, it's Oblivion, right?
Yeah.
It's like the fight for the world kind of thing.
And there's going to be a lot of content in Oblivion that you will not see in this CID, like the whole narrative campaign, which is actually going to be the huge driving component of the book itself.
Yeah.
So besides just all the cool models and stuff, there'll be a ton of content in Oblivion that won't be coming in the CID that you're definitely going to want to pick up the book for, because it's going to be sweet to see some frickin' Warriors of the Old Faith models smashing into an Infernal army in the sweet campaign game.
I agree. A couple quick questions. Dustin Von Berg, and I believe somebody else on Facebook, their name just scrolled by. Will we be having any legacy models in the Oblivion CID? Very few.
There's a couple.
There's a few that are very specific. I mean, we already said Constance Blaze is getting a very interesting update. And then somebody said the box set, because Oblivion is not just a book, it's a box set. Is it going to have one of every Archon? No, it comes with the Hermit of Hingehold model, a mad prophet that kind of foresaw the Infernals coming and does a lot of cool things. He's also one of the models you're going to see in the Oblivion CID. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic we want to talk about.
Riot!
Before you put the image up, Tony, good news, everyone. Riot Quest is off to print.
It has shipped, kind of, I guess. Is that a term we use?
That is the wrong term.
Okay, it hasn't shipped. It's gone to print.
It is at print. So Riot Quest is with the printers as we speak. It's being made. That means everything is going on time. We're going to have Riot Quest available sooner than later. Hopefully, maybe even by Gen Con, available for sale to people.
And we would love to hopefully have some sets to demo at Lock and Load.
That would be amazing. But part of that was we got the rulebook done, which means we had to have the painted models. We had to have the map completed, all the aspects of it. We've been playtesting Riot Quest a ton. Real fast, if you haven't.
Crawtooth! Sorry, I love that guy.
Captain Crawtooth. Riot Quest is a new game coming out later this year. It's an arena hex-based skirmish game with a heavy dose of chaos. Very easy to pick up and play. I think I've taught most people to play in about 5 minutes, and most games are about 20 to 30 minutes. Tony Konachek, our video producer, is actually my lead play tester on it, and Tony has done an amazing job.
Tony's back there, throwing up the horns.
It's a completely unique game. It's not War Machine and Hordes at all. It has its own rules, and this is a game that, honestly, I hope that our casual players will enjoy, our competitive players will enjoy, but also that people will be able to play with their kids as well. I'm not saying it's a kid's game by any means, but this is a game that an 8, 10, 12-year-old could pick up, grasp, and play and make meaningful decisions without their parents having to tell them, do this, do this, do this. In terms of complexity, obviously War Machine is our deepest and most strategic game. Then Monpok is next, and Riot Quest is easier and more casual than Monpok, while still just being a really fun and kind of chaotic and insane game. Because you're not just fighting against the other players, you're fighting against the game at the same time. And the way you win the game and the effects in the arena are random. They're based off decks, and you shuffle them up, so every game is different. You may win one game in one way and then win another game in a completely different way. When you build a force, you just pick between 5 and 10 models you want. There's no point costs. You just pick the models you want to play, and you only ever have 4 of your models in play in the arena at once. So army construction is which bounty deck, the objective deck we're playing with, which treasure deck we're playing with, which map we're playing on. And once you have that information and you have an idea of the kind of things that might show up randomly, grab the models out of your collection, put them down, start playing. But we got some cool photography, and we want to show the first shot of what a game of Riot Quest actually looks like in play. So here we see the hex map on it. We've got a few of the painted models. So at the top left, Balthazar Bamfist. Just below him, James, which was the Kickstarter exclusive model. Below, to the bottom left of James, you see Boomhowler Solo Artist.
That all looks sick, by the way.
Yeah, that's Boomhowler with a chain gun. At the very bottom, you see Eris, the Fortune Hunter of Ios. Going up from her in all blue, you've got Sir Dreyfus, the Storm Knight. To the top right of him, Gorman the Mad. The little Rulik gun mage next to him is Harlow Hold'em High. And at the bottom with her gigantic bazooka. By the way, in scale, she's about 6'7" in real life. You've got Dez. So this is what a game is going to look like. You've got the hex grid, the different spaces, like you see the numbered spaces where treasure chests randomly show up, the hazard spaces that are obstacles where people can jump in and get cover. And the game is played like a hybrid miniature board game. Tony, do we have another photo we can show? Yeah, that's a sweet close-up. So again, at the top right, you see Dez, and then looking through left to right, you've got Sir Dreyfus, Gorman, Boomhowler, Harlow, Balthazar, James, and in the bottom right, there's a back shot of there with her little wings. That's Widget, Tinker Extraordinaire.
With her big ol' wrench.
Yeah, with her big ol' wrench. The cool thing is that, like, again, this lets people just paint the models they want to paint their crew. You play a salvage crew. The models you think look the coolest, and you can build a strategy. Like, there's 6 classes in the game: Fighter, Scout, Gunner, Rogue, Specialist, and Guard. You'd be like, maybe I want to build a melee heavy force, so I do lots of fighters and guards. Or maybe I want to do a more ranged heavy force, so I do more spotters and gunners. Or I want a balanced force, so I bring a little bit of everything.
Or just play Crawtooth.
Yeah, or I just like the way these models look. So I'm just going to play this collection of models. That's what the game has been specifically designed, so you can play as casually or as competitively as you want. But if you play competitively, note, this game has a lot of RNG in it. Yeah. By design. This game has a lot of random elements on it on purpose. Because we've got a really deep strategic, competitive, hardcore competitive game, right? Yeah. We've got War Machine. And Monpok can also be very competitive if you want to play it that way. So you can be competitive in Riot Quest, but we specifically made it, I don't want to say like wacky goofy, because that
it's Saturday morning cartoons.
But it's a Saturday morning cartoon game. It's just fun.
Yeah, and because rolling dice and having weird things happen and pulling cards off of decks and having weird things explode is a good time. It's fun to just be like, it's fun to have your whole plan go awry because you like set up this whole chain of interlocking moves you're trying to do, and then suddenly something blows up in your face and you just get to laugh about it because you're just screwing around with your friends and rolling dice and moving models around.
Now, the thing I will say is that the RNG is not such that you don't have any player agency. And that was a big, big deal to make sure that turn to turn, you felt like you had a choice, that what you were doing was mattering, even if you knew that your choice might get altered or set slightly off course because of something the game did, you still made that choice and typically could still kind of work out for you. It's very rare that your choices just don't do anything because people want what they're doing to matter. And what you do in Riot Quest matters, but just be ready for, the sky to fall. Yeah. Like to me, Riot Quest is when you play Super Smash Brothers with all the items turned on. Yes. Like I control my character, I can punch and kick and do my moves, and I can try and knock people off the stage. But a
Pokeball might just show up, and a legendary Pokemon pops out. Yes. And he sprays lasers at the battlefield.
Yeah, that is or a giant golden hammer shows up, and all of a sudden I'm way more stronger. But my opponent can like run away from you. You can play around that. And so if you like that style of gameplay, where it's sort of a party game / strategy game, that is what Riot Quest is going to be.
Like Mario Party.
Kind of, yeah. So
Tony, who is your favorite Riot Quest character that you've played of the ones that we've shown?
Or one of the ones we haven't shown, Tony. We can do what we want. Oz isn't here.
Yeah. We're our own adults now.
You're putting me on the spot.
Yeah.
I got. I'm a big fan of Destructotron 3000.
Okay.
Have they seen Destructotron 3000?
No.
I don't think so.
Well, they know about it now. So maybe we'll have to show off Destructotron 3000 in the near future.
All right.
Cool. All right. Well, Tony, I think that's good on those images. I'm really excited for people to finally get their hands on the game. It looks great. Jordan did an amazing job with the models.
In fact, you might have seen him painting some of them at Adepticon.
He was painting Black Bella, who we didn't show there.
And Harlow right there in the middle of the picture. Or the picture for me because I've got a delay.
But the look of it, like the game looks super, it's a post-apocalyptic, we're running around trying to grab treasure and loot from a destroyed Iron Kingdoms, right? But when you look at the game, it's vibrant and poppy.
Yep.
It takes this, what could be a really dark and serious tone, and definitely like plays around with the idea and just has fun with it and creates, like you said, Saturday morning cartoon look to it. So Dataran says, what dice system does it use? Its own. The dice it will be using are the white, blue,
it's like a slide.
The white, blue, and red dice from Monpok, as well as D6s, but it's its own dice system. But if you have Monpok dice, you can use those dice with them. It's just the way that things interact are very, very differently. Striker11 says Black Bella. Yeah, Black Bella, the Duchess of Dread. Jordan was painting her at Adepticon. I know some photos got shared of her.
Also, with a name like that, she's got like an 80s cartoon with like action figures.
She looks like a pirate villain from Blackwater, or Dark Waters. Was it Blackwaters or Dark Waters, the old cartoon?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I also don't remember. But I'm also from the Berenstain Bears universe.
Yeah.
I'm from that reality,
it was the Pirates of Darkwater. It was the Pirates of Darkwater.
There we go.
Yeah, she looks like a villain from the Pirates of Darkwater.
Aging ourselves, by the way.
Yeah,
We're dating ourselves right there pretty hard.
Kirk Beck says, well, does Riot Quest going to have a Kickstarter? No, Riot Quest is not going to be a Kickstarter game. We're hoping to have it
in
out
your store at some point.
We're hoping to pre-release it at a major convention, maybe not Lock and Load, maybe Gen Con, and then it'll be in stores. So this is not going to be a Kickstarter product. It's just going to be something that you're able to walk in and buy. It will have a starter box that gets the map, the rule book, all the tokens you need to play, all the dice, and 5 models, because your salvage crew is between 5 and 10 models, and all the cards you need. And then there's going to be hero expansions that are going to be individual blisters of heroes along with their associated cards. And then there's going to be larger expansions that add things like new maps, terrain, that you'll put on hexes, new elements, a lot of really cool stuff. Riot Quest is not going to be a 3-month release window and then we're done with the game. Like, Riot Quest is going to be supported for quite some time. So this is going to be like War Machine, Mompoc, Riot Quest are going to be like our 3 big minis games.
And then don't forget that all the Riot Quest models will have rules in War Machine. And sometimes that just won't make sense, like Butcher 4. But whatever, it's cool, so who cares?
Yeah. Now, again, Riot Quest has no rules in common with War Machine, but since we're making these models and they're on the appropriate basis, we've been co-developing all the rules for all the War Machine and Hordes for those models to be played as there as well.
Yep.
It's a split timeline. It's not part of the main continuity.
Yeah.
So
It's a Saturday morning cartoon.
So not like Company of Iron, Friendly Troll Painter says, nothing like Company of Iron. Again, it's a board game with hobby miniatures.
Yeah.
You're going to move around on hexes. Everyone's got a speed, like 3 or 4, and that's how many spaces you can move.
So all the Riot Quest models will have corresponding rules in War Machine, but we at this time we don't have any plans to take existing models from War Machine and translate them to Riot Quest.
We will not be taking any existing War Machine models and moving them to Riot Quest, only the other way around. How many models are we expecting for Riot Quest to add to War Machine? Well, at least 30, but more, probably.
Yeah, let's go hard.
I can
Go
tell you
crazy.
that I've developed out through 2021 in terms of all the models coming out, so a lot. No news on the monkeys then? No, we don't have any.
I
any
mean,
news
we
on
have been on a
monkey.
big monkey kick, so we should probably actually make a monkey character for Riot Quest at this point.
Sure.
Let's get more monkeys in the game.
And 5088 says, is Company of Iron going to get some more support? I know that Oz has got some stuff that he's looking into doing. So Company of Iron is not being forgotten by any means.
In fact, Oz updates the Company of Iron database with every new release that comes down War Machine. It's always in your war room. Plugged in.
This year is very much like a lot of Monpoc. And then we've got Oblivion and Riot Quest basically dropping almost on top of each other. So we've got 2 major things that we're trying to work on, and there's only so much of us to go around.
Yep.
But Company of Iron is definitely still in our heads, and from time to time you are going to see more support coming out for it. Cool. So I think, one last thing. Smarter Child, are Riot Quest minis faction specific, or are they largely mercenaries like James? Some of them are mercenaries, but Butcher 4, Orcus the Chained, is a Khador Doomreaver solo. So some of them are faction specific. Dreyfus is Sir Dreyfus the Storm Knight. By the way, do you know why he calls himself the Storm Knight?
Why did he call himself the Storm Knight, Will?
Because he never. So Dreyfus tried to join the Storm Knights and could never make the cut.
She's like, okay.
So the Storm Knights got wiped out in the apocalypse that caused Riot Quest to happen, and he got a suit of armor. Because if you look at it, he's got little legs and this big upper torso with a jetpack on.
He's like a triangle.
So he's the last Storm Knight, and he's just walking around being like, I'm totally a Storm Knight. And there's no one left to argue that he's not a Storm Knight anymore.
Yeah, the ones that make sense to be part of their faction will be part of their faction, and the ones that are mercenaries or minions will be mercenary minions.
But Sir Dreyfus the Storm Knight is a Signar solo.
yeah.
So cool. All right, well, that's all for today. We've gone almost 50 minutes. We'll let everyone get back to work or get done with your lunch, whatever you're doing. Don't forget, please join us tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific. Doug Seacat's going to be on along with Josh Colon. Doug's going to have himself a lore chat. I know those are insanely popular, and every time we can have Doug on here talking about the world, so come here, ask your questions, and we'll see you then. Also, don't forget on Friday at 10 a.m., Jeff and I are throwing down on the monthly Rumble.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see you then. Until next time, everybody, take it easy.
Corgi.
Goodbye.
Bye.